Today we're here at the Bee's Knees Pottery to do another video. This time we're working on wizards, dragons, and castles. We're going to do this lovely book. I love it. It's got scales. It's a dragon journal. You can see his eye. In the kit that you got, you should have everything that you need. So what you see in front of me is what you're going to use. We're going to start with the journal, and we're going to protect it with this plastic bag. As I go along, I'll make sure I'll name everything that you need from our lineup here. So plastic bag over your pages. It's just going to protect them while we paint. It's just going to slip right over that, just like that. It's going to hang off. That's okay. You also have a dragon eye. We're going to use that on it. You have some tissue paper. We're going to be needing that. And the first thing we're going to think about is how we put that eye on the front of the journal. We have eyelids coming over. Are you going to have one lid? Are you going to have a double lid? Are you going to have 4 lids? And then we're going to put scales all the way around it. So I want you to think about that. I want you to get out your extra journal, which will be in your kit. There's another journal. Use that for pictures. Draw a picture of your book. Just sketch it out. Put the eyeball on there. Decide how you want your eye. Do you want the shells to come right up to the edge of the eye, or do you want to leave some leather-like skin? Okay, so think about that and draw some pictures. Get an idea in your head. It might not be exactly how your journal turns out in the end, and that's okay, but it gives you a starting point. Okay, I'm going to start by taking the tissue paper. We have a piece of tissue paper like this. You're just going to tear it in half. I would recommend also that you put your apron on. You can do it now or when we start painting. We're going to be using glue, so it'd be wise to put your apron on. We're going to take the tissue paper and we're going to tear it in half. Okay? And we're going to crumple it up. See how I have it crumpled up? And just taking my fingers, crumple it up, and then just kind of make the pleats in it stay. We're just going to kind of work it out so that it looks kind of like a fan. And then I'm going to put it over my book and the eye and just kind of look, how am I going to do it? Am I going to slant it this way or this way? Am I going to put my eye in the middle? Where am I going to put it? Determine that. I am going to rip my tissue paper in half, and I'm going to put half of it like this and the other half like this. Just to start, maybe I'll put another eyelid. We'll see as I get going. The first thing we're going to do is take glue. The glue says glue on top, so you don't get confused between glue and white paint. And we're going to take the largest brush that you have. Take some glue and put it right on your book. And see, it's a good thing that we covered up those pages. You can see why now, because that glue might glue your pages together. And then you wouldn't be able to use it as a journal. So we're going to go right over the book and over the edge. And then I'm going to attach my eye. Where do I want it? Do I want it straight up and down? Do I want it sideways? There are a lot of decisions to make. So if it helps to draw that out, go ahead and do that first. So I'm not gluing the whole book. I'm just doing this area around the eye. I'm putting my glue brush right on top of my water to keep it handy. And I'm putting the tissue paper over the eye, and I'm gluing it right to the page. And then I'm taking the glue again, and I'm going right over the top of it. As this glue dries, it's going to harden your tissue paper, and it's going to feel like leather. Just keep doing that so it's all over. I want it to stick to my eye, so I'm going to put a little glue under there. Just make sure it's sticking either to itself, the tissue paper sticking to itself, or the book. So you want to make sure you have enough glue on there. And what I can also do is bring this right around the edge of the book and onto the back. And then again, glue on top. Kind of going in between the creases to make sure it's glued down nicely. And since I went over the binding, I want to make sure I can open the book still and close it. Can, so that's good. And I just continue on until it's all glued down. And then when that's done, I get the other piece of tissue paper and do the same thing around the bottom. I'm going to freshen up my glue a little bit over the eyeball a little. You determine how much of the eye you want showing and place that tissue paper over it. Just press it down. Putting the glue over the top again and going in between the pleats just to make sure it's glued down. If you missed a spot on the book there, just go underneath it and push it back down. It's good to be generous with the glue. I want to make sure it looks like an eyeball, so I'm going to make sure I have it coming to the corners of the eye so it comes together. Basically, we're painting with glue. All right, so I'm going to go again and get the back of my book with the glue and bring that paper right around the back. You also have, I have a workspace here, but you also have a workspace inside of your kit. It's plastic, so things don't stick to the table. This is glue, so that we don't want it to stick to the table you're working on. Why did I think of that? Because look right there. Some of my tissue paper came off, and that's okay, because you can't tell in my design because there's so many layers there. All right, so I'm just going to keep gluing, folding that paper over. See, it's just easy. Don't worry about it. Come over with your brush. Now at this point, you need to decide, do you want another layer? Do you want another layer of eyelid to go over? Or do you like it like that? If you like it like this, just stop and we're going to let it dry. If you want to add more eyelid or something else to this, go ahead and do that now. When you're done, just stand it up on its edge like that and let it dry. How do we know it's dry? We know because it's going to turn clear. The glue is going to turn clear instead of white, and you're going to be able to touch it and it's not sticky. So just take a little break, let it dry. If you need to, you can get a hair dryer and go over it just gently to help dry it up. Okay, your book should be dry now. And whether you have your two eyelids like this, or you maybe put an extra one across, did something fancy, you know more about dragons than probably I do. So yours probably looks a little different than mine, and I'm excited to go on. I hope you are too. Let's just double check and make sure that plastic is pulled up right onto your pages, because it could slip while we're working on it. The next thing we're going to do is find the scissors that are in your to-go kit, and we're just going to cut off the excess. So I'm going to take the scissors and just nip off the extra, all the dry part that doesn't have glue on it. That's just extra. I'm going to get rid of that. Same here on the edge of my book. Get rid of the extra. Now, I don't know what you've done, but I did add more tissue to the back of mine, so the whole back looks like leather now. Looks like skin. So I'm going to cut around that also. So just cut that off. Just the same way, just the dry part. Book might get in the way. There we go. Just keep cutting all the extra off. And then look, it's already looking pretty cool. You can see it looks kind of like skin, dry, leathery skin. Now, for the fun part. We have our eye situated. We have the plastic pulled up correctly. We have a clean brush, so there's not too much glue on it, okay? Then we're going to take our glue, and we're going to take some eggshells. You should have some eggshells in your kit. And you're going to say to me, really, eggshells? What is that all about? Well, you're going to see what happens. So, glue. Glue. And I'm just putting quite a bit of glue. And I'm using these eggshells, and the eggshells have been cleaned, and they've been microwaved, and they are all set for you. We're going to actually seal them. So they're clean and sealed and ready to go. So don't worry about that. We are going to take an eggshell and just break a good piece off. Decide how I'm going to put it around the eye. Am I going to leave a little skin showing? I am. So I'm going to put it down here, and then I take my fingers and just press those eggshells, and they get stuck to the glue, just like that. And you can see how it's starting to form his scales. Let's take another piece, go a little bit bigger. We're going to paint over these too, so color doesn't matter. If you have white and brown eggshells in your kit, don't worry. Again, just press that down. And I'm just going to do that all over the book here. So I'm going to take my glue and put it all over down here. Get the edge a little bit where I cut it off. Get my eggshells, and I'm just going to keep working. Now you can leave a little bit of space. That's okay. I'm going to leave a little space right there. Again, press down so that eggshell goes right into the glue. And if you're generous with the glue, so I'm putting more. If you're generous with the glue, it's just going to stick right in there. Another piece, almost like a puzzle, just put it down in there. All the pieces of the puzzle are together on the eggshell already. Now you can go in and take some, break it up, and put it in smaller areas if you need to. It's a little crunchy. If it's not sticking well, just get some more glue. Some more eggshell. And just keep going until you have scales everywhere you want them. Alright, just keep going. Like I said, if it's not sticking, like this part right here wasn't sticking at first, just keep pressing it down. And if you need to go back and put some more glue under there, it's alright. Another piece. Fit that one right in there. Smash it down. I don't know, I think it's looking pretty cool already. But we have some more tricks up our sleeves to make it look a little more realistic. Starting to glue to my fingers. If that happens, go ahead and wash your fingers off in the water a little bit. dry them and start over. It's kind of a messy situation. Now I'm going to come up and do the top part over the top of his eye. And while you're doing this, you can decide, are you going to do the back side of your book? Or are you just doing the front part? How many eggshells do you have? How many eggshells do you want in there? It's all up to you. It's part of your design. If you prefer using your own eggshells, that's fine. Just remember, we have prepared these. And we're also using a special glue on them that seals them. So you should be pretty well set. If you run out of eggshells from the kit, just have a couple eggs, dry up your eggshells, and wash them really good. We put a little bit of bleach in with them, and we microwave them, cook them, get them pretty hot, so they're ready for this process. Now you can decide, do you want to leave it leather-like through the bridge of his nose, or use your imagination. Where's his nose? Is it here? Is it here? How do you want to do your eggshells? Think it through a little bit. You have some on there, you want to move them around, do that. Again, your fingers get sticky, clean them off. If you don't clean them off, they're going to stick to the eggshells. All right, so these are on there pretty good. I'm going to take a little bit off the edge there. It's okay to hang over the edge too if you want. I'm just going to make sure they're all pressed down. They're all in the glue. See how I have eggshells all over the front. Now you can just put it over part. You can go ahead and do the back of your book if you want. I'm going to leave mine leather-like skin. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, clear this area here, is to take the glue and go right over the eggshells, pressing them down as I go. This is what's going to seal the eggshells. If you see some areas where maybe you missed and you want to put some more scale in there, you can do that now too. Just take a piece, put it in there, and then put your glue right over. Okay. If you have some of your eggshells moving around while you do this, just make sure they're pressed down. If they're not, get some glue under there. I had a whole stack of them there. See, I just put them back. It's okay. You can see how generous I'm being with the glue. You have a lot in your kit, so don't worry. Just keep going. I'm going to let that stick up a little bit, just like that. Get a little creative with it. It's kind of like an eyebrow, isn't it? Okay, you can see it's all covered. It looks pretty much white, doesn't it? And it's our special glue that we have going on there, sealing the pieces. Make sure you get the edge. Make sure your plastic is covering your pages. And there we go. It's all white from the glue. Next step is to make sure it's dry. So we're going to, again, you can just let it set, leave it open like this. You can take a break. You can use a hair dryer, whatever you like to do to get that dry. While you're doing that and you're waiting for it to dry, clean up the extra eggshells and make sure you clean your brush. We're done with the glue after this, so we want to make sure our brush is nice and clean and ready for paint. So I'm just going to clean it up in the water, dry it on my paper towel, and have it ready for me. Your book gets dry, you're going to set up for your paint. We're going to have paper plates, your mixing chart, and your paints. I'll meet you back here in a few minutes. Okay, you can see on my little journal here that we're back to the eggshell color. It's not white anymore. So it's ready for painting. It's all dry. I am going to use most of my colors and make a brown color. Brown is very difficult to mix, but if you look at your chart, it has many different colors on here, even purple. You know, we have purple dragons, right? Red dragons, very powerful dragons, whatever you want. So look at your color chart and decide what color you want. And of course, maybe more than one color, that's okay too. I'm going to start with red, blue, and yellow. And to do that, I'm going to open my paints and just take a scoop with my largest brush. Just take a scoop of colors, a couple scoops of red. I'm going to clean my brush. A couple scoops of blue. Those are equal parts. So those are each 2 parts because I had 2 scoops. I need my brush. And I'm going to start with these colors and mix them together. And of course, red and blue makes the purple color. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to add a little yellow because we actually want it to have a green in it with the red to make brown. So I'm mixing brown because you will not find brown on your chart here. So and pay attention and we'll get to brown together here. A little bit of yellow. Is that in there? It's kind of turning green. Dark green. Because we really have purple. A little darker, so we're going to do a little bit of black in here. And I just keep blending the colors. I mean, brown has most of the colors together. You know, it's getting darker. I really like that color. For brown, we're going to need a little more red. Here it comes. See the brown coming up? So it took quite a few colors to make brown. Let's get a little more red in there. Cleaning my brush in between. There's a nice dark brown. Okay. I'm going to use that brown. A little more red. And I'm going to paint that color on first. So just straight on. It's all dry. It's ready to take the paint. It's all sealed already. Just going to paint it all over. I'm going to layer a couple different colors on my book. It's for some interest. So this is going to be the darkest color. Now, if your eggshells don't get covered the first time, don't worry. Just put another coat on. Be real careful around the eye. You also have a detail brush in your packet if you want to use the detail brush around your eye, or for some fancy designs you might want to put on them. It'd be a good idea to check your plastic, make sure that stays covering your pages. Don't want any surprises. My eyebrow sticking up. I want to make sure I get paint under there. Let's see how fast that was. Of course, I can go and paint the back if I want. Maybe it's going to be a different color. See how sometimes I'm dabbing it? That gets in all those different layers so I can cover up the white from the tissue paper. I'm not going to paint the back, but you go ahead and paint the back if you want to. And then let it dry before you set it down, okay, to do another coat if you need another coat. All right, so that looks pretty good. It's good coverage. Interesting dark color. I like that. I'm going to take my detail brush and come in and get around the eyes. Now, if I make a mistake, I do have toothpicks that we put in your kits. And you can take it and, let's say I got a little bit on my eye, my dragon eye, not my eye, but my dragon eye, and just clean that up a little bit. See how it comes right off that glass? The eyes are glass, so it comes right off for you. So no worries there. I want to leave the background white. You might want to paint yours a different color. That's cool. Right up in there. Whatever brush works for you, the detail or the flat brush, they both are. It's fine. There's no rules. Just use what works for you. Okay, I like that. I'm going to let it dry just a little bit. And while it's drying, I'm going to clean my brushes. And I'm going to come up with another color that I want to put over the top. This book has dark green and then it has blue across it. So we have lighter green here, we have darker green, and then we have some blue going through it. So it adds a little bit of dimension, particularly on the back. You can see the green and the blue, hopefully. And so it adds a little bit of dimension and layering on the piece. So it looks a little more real, a little more interesting. Okay, cleaning everything up. I'm going to make a lighter color. So I'm going to use a little bit of my white. Not to be confused with my glue. See how it looks very, very light. This is almost a purple now. Love that. I'm going to clean my brush and add a little yellow. Just kind of experimenting and having some fun with the colors. Kind of a gray color with a little tint of green. Now, I'm going to do what's called dry brushing. I'm taking my brush and taking paint off. Just like rubbing it against the side of the plate, taking a little bit of paint off. Then I'm going to gently go across the top. I'm just getting the top so it's catching on some of the eggshells. I'm not sure if you can see that real well. Maybe we'll grab some white so you can see it. Just back and forth. Just kind of grabbing up some of the eggshells. I think you can see that a little better. This gives it a little more dimension. Maybe get right around the edge of his eye. Some white just to highlight it a little bit. And then I want to make a really cool green just to add around his eye. Really bright green. Just kind of bring that in around his eye a little bit. Here you go. So 2 different looks. We have a dark brown and green. What color is your dragon? And there you have it, your dragon book. You can order these at thebeeskneespottery.com, or you can look down in the description and click on it there. Everything you need is in your kit. Thank you.